Well, good morning, girls and boys. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Now, I am so excited for this morning's devotion. You might remember last week we started to learn about a parable. Now, a parable is a type of story that Jesus would tell to help people understand about where he came from and who he was. Now, before we look at today's parable, I have a challenge for you. Now, you might remember a few weeks ago we went on a bit of a treasure hunt. I would like you to find a few things for me today. So get ready to listen. I would like you to find, now you might need mum and dad's help for this. So if you can, great. If not, you can watch me search for it. But I would like us all to try to find money. I would like you to find a bank note. So one of the long ones with colour, a note, and a coin. Okay, I'd like you to find a banknote and a coin. Now, if you can't, don't stress about it because we're going to learn a really awesome story today. So ready? On the count of three, you and I are going to have a race to see who can find a banknote, colourful note, and a bank coin, some coins, okay? Ready, set, go. I got it. Good old Queen Elizabeth on the $5 note. And I've got a, come on, there we go, a 5-cent piece. I don't know if you bet me on that one, boys and girls, but I hope you've got your note and your coin, because I'm going to tell you a story today. We're going to watch a really cool video, but I thought I would tell you a story. One of Jesus's friends came up to Jesus one day and he said to Jesus, "How many times should I forgive someone?" Now this man asked Jesus, "Should I forgive them 5 times?" Jesus says, "No, you need to forgive them a lot more than 5 times. And then he told this story. Jesus says, "There once was a man who owed his boss." He worked in a company and he had to owe his boss $5. But the man didn't have his $5. In fact, he had no money. And his boss said, "You need to pay me $5. You owe me it, buddy." And he said, "Please, please, boss, I don't have the money. I can't pay you it back." And he had a tear in his eye. And the boss looked down at him and he said, "Okay, I forgive your debts. I'm going to cancel it. You don't have to owe me $5 anymore." And the man got up off of his knees and he said, "Thank you, boss, thank you. Oh, I'm never going to be able to repay you. Thank you." Now the man went on his way, whistling and smiling. He didn't have to owe his boss $5 anymore. But then the man saw one of his friends and he said, "Hello, friend, how are you?" And his friend said, "I'm pretty good." And he said, "You know what? You owe me 5 cents. I remember. I bought you a lollipop and you owe me 5 cents. And the man said, "I don't have 5 cents. I don't have that money." And the man who had just been forgiven grabbed the man that owed him just 5 cents. He grabbed him like this and he said, "You owe me 5 cents. And he said, "Please, please, please, I can't owe you that 5 cents. But the man didn't listen. He didn't help his friend. Now the man's boss heard of this. He heard that even though he had forgiven the man for $5, this man hadn't forgiven the other man for 5 cents. So he brought the man back in and said, "How dare you treat your friend like that? I cancelled your debt of $5. You could have at least cancelled his debt of 5 cents. The boss wasn't very happy that he showed mercy on the man who worked with him, but he didn't show mercy to his friend. That's pretty incredible, isn't it, girls and boys? Let's take some time and watch a story about this teaching.
There once was a great king who ruled over all the land. The people in his kingdom called him King Basilopolis, but his subjects called him Basil for short. One day, Basil sat upon his magnificent throne, pondering about all the kingly decisions he had to make. So he called upon his most trusted assistant, Alonso.
Alonso, bring me my account books at once.
Yes, of course, my king.
So the assistant went and got the account books. The account books kept a record of all the people that the king owed money to, and most importantly, who owed money to the king. The king began reading the names of all the people who owed him money.
Aaron owes me $700. Abe owes me $350. Alex owes me $200. Alan owes me $1,000, and...
The king threw the book to the ground in anger.
Alonso! You owe me $3 million?
Eep. Yes, my king.
Well, cough it up.
I don't have the money to pay you back.
Guards, take Alonso to auction. Have him and his family sold to pay his debt.
The guards were about to take Alonso away, but he fell to his knees.
No. Have mercy on me. I will pay you back for every cent I owe you. I beg you.
The king felt sorry for poor Alonso. He knew that it would be impossible for him to pay back that much debt. King Basil had a change of heart.
Your debt has been erased,
said the king. Alonso jumped for joy.
Thank you so much. I promise I'll be more careful in the future.
And so Alonso, the king's assistant, left with a big smile on his face. Alonso felt like the luckiest man alive. He didn't have to sell everything he owned, and his family didn't have to be sold as slaves. On his way home, he ran into Maurice. As it turns out, Maurice owed Alonso $50. Maurice had really appreciated the money he had been loaned and was planning on paying him back. He'd been carefully saving his pennies so that one day he could pay Alonso back. Alonso seemed to have forgotten what had just happened with him and the king. His face grew red with anger.
Hey, where's my money?
Alonso demanded.
I'm sorry. I don't have it yet. Please just give me a couple more days.
No way. Guards, throw this man into prison until he can find some way to pay me back exactly what he owes me.
Maurice was going to have to spend the rest of his life in a dark, stinky prison. After the guards had gone, Alonso headed home. He was just about home when a guard came and stopped him.
Halt! The king summons you.
Alonso was so confused. He didn't know what to think, so the guard took him to see the king. When the king arrived, he had a furious look on his face.
You had Maurice thrown into prison!
Of course, I needed to teach him a lesson. He needed to pay me back.
The king got even more angry. The king had forgiven his huge debt, but he had not followed the king's example. He had not forgiven Maurice.
Guards, seize Alonso! Your debt has been reinstated. Take this man and throw him into prison until he has paid me his full debt.
Oh, no.
The king had forgiven Alonso of his huge debt, just like God has forgiven us for the things we've done wrong in our lives. We need to learn to forgive others because God has already forgiven us. In the Bible, Jesus tells us to forgive one another. One of his disciples asked him how many times he was supposed to forgive someone. He thought in his head, probably 7 times. He thought that was a large amount, but Jesus replied, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. That's 490 times. Jesus wanted to show that if someone keeps wronging you, you should forgive them over and over again. God has forgiven us, and we need to forgive others even when it's hard to do.
Well, girls and boys, that was a great devotion today. I really enjoyed going on a bit of a treasure hunt this time, but also learning about the parable. You know, I think we can learn 3 things from today's devotion. Number 1, God has forgiven everyone. He has forgiven you and he has forgiven me. Number 2, because God has forgiven us, we can forgive others too. And that leads us to our last point, number 3. When we forgive people, it actually makes us happy. You know, sometimes if you haven't forgiven someone, you have a heavy heart and you hold a grudge against them. But when we forgive people, it actually makes us happy. It makes us free inside. That's what I learned from today's devotion, and I hope you learned that too. Anyway, I can't wait to see what parable, what story we're going to learn next week from the book of Matthew. Bye for now.